Oh! Alright guys, I streamed for 2 minutes. I think that's long enough. It's time for me to end. This shit is too hot. I thought I would give it the good old college try, but I think it's too much. Ball, do you think evil women give better head? No, I don't think so. I think it's the opposite. I think because they're inherently selfish, they give very poor head. They don't take time to think about your cooming experience. So just get naked, little bro. I have a secret that you guys don't know. I'm already naked, and it's still too hot. My mother is away on a trip to Japan, so that means I can walk around the house naked and there's nothing to stop me from doing that. I basically am only wearing shorts right now. I can't go full balls to the wall naked because then the tablet on my lap is uncomfortable. How are you besides dying in your Sahara desert of a room? Improving at drawing manga, I guess. Coming to the realization that I guess I'm gonna make it. It might be a little early to come to that conclusion, but I think I've come to the conclusion that I'm gonna make it. They probably bite more than they suck. The cat will jump and bite off your dick. Your mom is away, turn on the AC, man. It doesn't make a huge difference in my room. It really doesn't. As soon as I'm done streaming, I'm just gonna go to the basement where it's comfortable. That's gonna be my solution. The location I am in the house is like 10 times more effective and important than any number on the AC. My room has one central air vent, and I can slightly feel a difference when the AC is on, but it's immediately canceled out by the 10,000 tons of hot heated air that rises up from the lower floors and accumulates inside my room. So if I really cranked the central AC, I think I could make some difference if I was sitting right on top of the vent, but it's just not worth it, considering that I can just move to a different part of the house. Honestly, if I really wanted to stream, I could take my shit and move it down to the first floor, and that would make a huge difference. That alone would be enough to make a huge difference. But, because my mother's away, you know. I guess I could do that. The reason I don't do that is because I don't really give a fuck about you guys and your streaming entertainment. Because I'm not a fucking video game streamer, okay? How's it during winter? Frigid or just okay? I mean, it's frigid, but Even if it's cold, I can always wear more clothing. There's just no way to strip off more clothing than I already have. Like, if it truly gets cold, you can start wearing long underwear and shit, but it never gets that cold. Also, I'm just a generally overheating type person instead of a too cold type person. You spending all your money on color edit in First Descendant? I have not spent a single cent on First Descendant yet. I was trying to earn my third character after the two characters that you get sort of mandatory in the beginning of the game. So I started grinding, and there was like a mission that you could repeat. And it said that the ingredient I was going to get had a, 20% drop rate. And I did the mission 20 times and I didn't get the fucking item. And I was just like, okay, you say it's 20% drop rate, but I'm not believing you. And even if I do unlock this character without paying money for it, all that means is that you're just giving me the right to grind some more to get more things to drop. Like, I might like the new character more than the current character I'm playing, but probably not by much. Skill issue. I mean, the true grinders are the gacha players, so Korean free-to-play non-gacha game isn't even that the true worth wasting your time and money experience that you truly need. As long as the game just straight up lets you buy the stuff you want, which First Descendant does, it's basically just a normal game where you can choose how much you want to pay. So I really don't have anything against that. However, I'm still not going to play it. I didn't play Destiny for 10,000 hours, so I'm not going to play First Descendant for 10,000 hours either. That's just how it works. The music is too loud. Oh, I might have turned it up. Or something else. Who bend their will? It's more like BB not having time to drop everything on a game. I shouldn't be playing video games at all. When I'm playing video games, it's the only time I'm allowed to play video games is if I like truly cannot force myself to draw at all. Then I will play some video games. But if I can tell that I'm grinding, then I should definitely not be playing a video game, even if I wasn't trying to make it as a manga artist. I'm drawing 10 hours a day. I define grinding as repetitive activity in a video game that you don't actually enjoy, but you have convinced yourself that you're going to do it because you want a specific reward. But the activity itself you don't find enjoyment in, and you're not particularly getting better at a skill. So trying to climb the ranks in a fighting game, for example, would not be considered to be grinding because the core goal of fighting games is to get better. And the climbing the ranks part is just a sort of secondary, it's like the result. Whereas if you're trying to unlock a character in First Descendant and you're doing the same mission, which is really easy for like 30 attempts to get one item to drop, that is grinding. Three games being advertised non-stop: First Descendant, Once Human, and Zenless. Yeah, I don't know what Once Human is. I've been thinking of playing Zenless, but I hear that it's like one-button combat. I decided I was going to play First Descendant a little bit at least because I found the characters to be extremely attractive for once. South Korean obsession with plastic surgery and superficial beauty might be devastating their birth rates, but in terms of pleasing my cock, it's doing a good job. Also, you can rotate the camera and look up characters' skirts and look at their panties, which is something that I always took for granted in my life, but I'll never take for granted again. In fact, I'll never take having attractive characters in a video game again after what has happened to the Western video game industry. We must always count our blessings. Never forget how happy we are. Did you see the Taimani Asaki butt pillows, homie? I thought they already had them. Maybe those were just boob pillows. It took them long enough. I'm more of a boob guy if I had to choose one or the other, especially when it comes to Taimani content, so I'm not that interested in the butt pillow. ZZZ is Chinese? I know, it's MiHoYo. Can someone actually tell me what about the ZZZ gameplay? What it's closest to, and whether it actually has any skill involved? Because so far, there's usually some sort of idea that I could get when browsing 4chan, but literally the only thing that people talk about is which characters they like to have sex with. All characters are like 12, by the way. So I can't even get an idea of whether it has gameplay or not, and I don't want to install it if it doesn't have gameplay. That's too much work. Beat him up with auto combos. See, it's impossible to look at the footage of the gameplay and tell if the player is actually doing something or if they're just holding down a button and they're just awesome shit is happening. How do you think that North Korea would be fucked up after unification? Similarity to East Germany post-reunification. South Korea is already fucked up. I mean, North Korea is already fucked up. The people that would be truly fucked up is China, which is why China is going to continue to support North Korea financially to make sure that they don't collapse or reunify or something like that, because they would get a shit ton of refugees. They really don't need that extra pressure on the economy, so... Board game, no open world. Combat takes you into a very small arena with a few enemies. Combat feels like Genshin, but is way too easy. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Grace from ZZZ has some fat milkers. Oh no, now I will have to Google search this character because you have said this. I am powerless. What do you think about it, chat? Are the boobs big enough? I know I'm usually on track on stream, often saying that the boobs are too big, but in this case I'm going to go ahead and say that they're too small. We could use like an extra cup size right here to fully accentuate the figure. What's the name of the pink-haired Mesugaki whore? Her in-game model has bigger. Wrong, Grace. I fucking typed in Grace. Nicole. I like how the top Google search question is age, because everyone is worried that she's like 14. Yes, this is the same character designer who did the Azura Lane Giga Mesugaki blonde girl that looked like she was, yeah, truly annoying as hell. As a man, we can only hope that she gets corrected and her smug attitude is changed and she learns to be a better human being going forward. How soon until a ZZZ request? I assume there's already some in my message box, which I'll be ignoring. How can this Misugaki be so tall? She's a fake Misugaki, not a real Misugaki. Her attitude is that of a Misugaki, but she's not actually a Misugaki. Oh, we have people subbing. Mangoes, Cave Mangoes, thanks for the Prime sub. I appreciate the support. Prudicat, thanks for the Prime sub. I appreciate the support. Why does she have a zipper in the middle of her boobs? This is called actually, I forgot what it's called. It's what are the questions, the name of questions that you ask where you already know the answer? I forgot the term for that. There are lolis in the game and a furry man. Yeah, I've seen the Bara bears for, you know, the gay players out there. Rhetorical, yes, thank you. I don't have to speak English very often. Yes, we all know why the zipper is there on her boobs. We don't need to know that. Bada Bear and Sexy Wolfman, yes. I don't know, the characters look sexy enough, I guess, but I think I'm just gonna masturbate to the porn. It's the only way. I tried installing Genshin on my PS4, and the PS4 version of Genshin is so fucked up and so poorly optimized, I uninstalled after like 10 minutes because I would look off into the hills and I could see the trees popping in and out, and it was just too fucking distracting. They clearly didn't build it for PlayStation 4, even though I don't think that they were doing anything that graphically intensive. But yeah, it was kind of unplayable on PS4. So I guess MiHoYo already has my payment information or some shit. I don't know. He isn't really that Bada. The bear just looks like a real bear. The Wolfman is the real furry. Unfortunately, the way Bada Kumers are, a literal walking bear is enough to get them hard, so there's nothing we can do about it. Around 2,000 ZZZ picks, including AI Gen on Rule 34. Yeah, it's not that impressive when you consider that you can generate 10,000 AI pics of porn within like 5 seconds. It used to be a good way to judge the total amount of interest that hentai artists had in the game, but at this point, you have to take the AI tags off and exclude that, or you can't really tell. Obviously, a lot of people are like, "Uo, Mesugaki, uo, I have to come." It's interesting because I think First Descendant is way more erotic than, you know, our latest anime slop. It has a nice Korea core look to it, but I don't think it's going to get much porn. It just shows how deeply our brains have been infected by anime. I should say our. My brain is still fine. You pathetic Coomers, how much your brain has been affected by anime. I'm doing okay. All Hoyo games are complete ass in the long run. You're gonna get yourself miserable. I mean, isn't that every gacha though? Do we have any gacha players who are like, I spent 10,000 hours and $10,000 on this gacha game, and I would, if I could go back, I wouldn't change a thing. This ride has been unbelievable. Not a single ounce of regret in my wasted time and money. Arguing with people in their chat about gacha tactics. People are such mind-broken slaves that they get angry when someone says they want a normal game without gacha slop. I mean, it's like the gambler's fallacy shit. Actually, it's not the gambler's fallacy, but it's just the standard gambling addict who's like, No, you can't just not gamble. If it becomes obvious that I'm making mistakes with my life, then I'll be even more miserable. That's basically what's going on here. The gacha coomer cannot come to terms with the realization that they might be wasting their money. So they despise the person that tells them that you should just pay $20 for a video game once instead of wasting your life savings on it. All fun and games till servers shut down. Aware. Surely my favorite minor unpopular gacha published by Square Enix in the last 3 months will not shut down. There's no way that will happen. Clueless. Meanwhile, Square Enix, our gacha failed to make $10 billion in the first 3 days. We must shut it down. I can't believe this gacha where you play as sentient poop was unpopular. Where did we go wrong? Time to shut down the servers. Grr, how dare you tell me I cannot gamble? In some ways, it's an interesting setup because the sacrifices of a few whales are what support the gameplay infrastructure for everyone else. So in other words, you could say that we have like 1 or 2 people who are making huge sacrifices financially so that the video game can exist for everyone else to enjoy it. However, usually the video games that do exist are kind of shitty, so I don't really feel bad at all. I hate that I'm going to have to play a gacha eventually. Nah, no you don't. You have several other options. You can play endless season pass slop. You can play free-to-play grinding slop. You can play one of the video games that is a complete game. These will be published once every 5 to 6 years, and then replay that same game again and again and again, like Monster Hunter or From Software games. You can play indie games. And you can play eroge and cry and coom at the same time. And you can also just fiddle your thumbs and pretend like you're playing video games. Just use your imagination like you're in prison, bro. The video game that you can imagine is 10 times better than any real video game out there. While I'm drawing right now, I'm imagining myself playing Coom Souls, my multi-billion-dollar budget From Software Souls game that also has DMC combos and a extremely complex dating system with pornographic elements to it. And because Miyazaki isn't in charge of directing the game, all the female characters are wearing sneakers. It's perfect. With actual good online, I'm sorry. Not even my imagination can possibly imagine a From Software game with good online. That would be too much. You still get the lag stabs. The suspension of disbelief is too big for me. Not even my 10,000 IQ could imagine that. I think they do let you have games in some prisons. Maybe if, like, you're going to prison in Scandinavia where the entire point of the prison system is to rehabilitate you for society and shit. If it's an American prison, they're spending all of their money to make you do unforced labor so they can make profit. So I'm pretty sure they're not going to let you just grind gacha games in prison. Elfbot, yes. It's important to remember that if you're wearing super low cut pants like she is wearing in this image. As you can see, there's only about 2.5 inches of fabric between her hidden private regions and her, where the pants end. If you imagine where the pants would be on the other side, you can clearly see that you would be able to see about 3/4 or maybe a half of her ass. This is the great lie that is told in One Piece, whereas Nami's jeans are even lower cut than this, but if you see her from behind, the back of her jeans covers her up her ass so you don't see the massive ass crack. Oda, despite being a massive pervert, his editors probably had to jump in front of him and prevent him from drawing Nami's bare ass and exposed thong or something every time he drew her from behind. So we don't get the full Nami experience. But that's how it would be. Her pelvis is rather tall. Is this a remnant of the whale tail fashion that you experienced in your younger days? Yes, but I don't need to have some sort of traumatic experience as a child to see the joy of, having really low cut jeans. I like high waist jeans as well. They're also nice in their own way, but this elf is a navel coomer, so. You always draw incredible abs. That's something I admire from you. I like abs. I also like navels. It's important to remember that the female guts exist inside their body, and that is what you want to impregnate as a male. So you have to draw their abs properly. This is an important part of drawing the female form. What do you think about Daisy Dukes and hot pants? They're okay. They're part of the mandatory Mesugaki correction package. That we were just seeing in Zenless Zone 0. Pink hair equals Giga Slut. Daisy Dukes, cutoff jeans, also Giga Slut. Haughty attitude equals Mesugaki correction needed. You can tell that the game developers were like, we saw what you did with Azure Lane with the Mesugaki and we want you to do it again. She must be extremely smug. Abs is such a hard thing to get right. Yeah, you don't want to overdo it. If you overdo abs, then they look fake, like the Liver King and his gigantic fake, like, plastic plate that he's stuck underneath his skin, so he has perfectly toned abs all the time. I like vibrant red hair and blue hair. I don't really like pink hair. It makes me think of bubblegum and worms. That's why you need to fuck them. Pink hair is it indicates promiscuity and airheadness. I watched some cutscene, and it seems like some of the main bosses don't even die. They either send things flying after defeat or implied to die off screen. Is that Limbus? Limbus is the one with now I'm blanking on it. I've done Art of Limbus Company, haven't I? Of Otis. Was there ever a drawing you absolutely hated doing? Yeah. Pretty much all of the commissions I do I hate. Especially when I'm listening to the specific instructions by the commissioner about what they want me to draw. I just want to yell, "You're not my mother. You can't tell me what to draw." I consider drawing to be an expression of my personal freedom. So when I sacrifice it and draw somebody else's idea or concept and stuff, that alone is extremely painful. But once I once I'm done with the conceptual stage and start drawing it, it doesn't really matter because once you enter the grinding stage, it's just the same shit. But yeah, it does bug me. Hag Otis, yes. Woman whose ovaries have completely dried up. I was fucking dying all night yesterday, couldn't sleep at all, 95 degrees in my room all night. I wouldn't be able to live in this house, my mother's house, even without the lack of rent, if there wasn't a basement that I could hide in. This basement room is really fucking saving my ass. Without the basement, I would be a goner. Also, I don't live in, like, Texas and shit. I feel sorry for all the people who live in Texas. Actually, I'm not. I'm lying. I don't feel sorry at all. In fact, the suffering of other people makes me happy because it reminds me that as bad as my life could be, I could be living in Texas in 10,000 degree heat with no power. My room is an attic room. I'm from Europe, LMAO. Yeah, my room is basically an attic room because it has no insulation. If it's 85 degrees outside, it's 95 degrees in my room. Luckily, I have a window I can open and then like blast cold air in during the night. So as long as the temperature drops outside during the night, I can lower it down to like 70, but it's still a little too hot to sleep. People who live in Texas vote for their own suffering. The government could save them, but they hate the government. Yes. A lot of the problems that Texas has with like having no power is a result of their own power grid. And they have like a stupid like ultra-capitalist power grid system, which has really, really bad service, as we learned during their snowstorm where everything got destroyed. But they're just like, hell, I'll just buy a generator, problem solved. I would hope you don't live in shit. It's probably not that bad. Anything to own the libs, am I right, Corpo Bros? I mean, Texas is pretty close to being a purple state, though. They're not like a true red-blooded American state, because they have those big cities with like Austin and Dallas and stuff, that a lot of which vote Democrat. They're actually, I think they're actually closer to flipping than Florida, right? Florida is supposed to be the big flippable state that never gets flipped, but I think at this point Texas is probably has a higher chance of flipping at some point in the future than Florida does. So there might be one or two election cycles, 10 to 15 years in the future, in which we get the blue Texas. Although I wouldn't bet on it. Old people and babies froze to death. Yeah. Were really stupid with that shit. No wonder Mr. Cruz had to escape the state to go to Cancun or whatever. He was doing it for his family. You have to understand. He didn't want them to freeze to death. As soon as he went there on the plane, he was going to come back to help his fellow Texans, but he just had to do it to protect his family because he's such a family man. I've noticed BB is using way less extreme close-ups than other mangakas I follow. They love their expression panels and reaction close-ups. Are you even looking at this page? Look at this fucking close-up right here. We have reaction face, reaction face, reaction face, reaction face. 4 reaction faces in this one page alone. Obviously, I could like use up the entire page with one reaction face if I wanted to, but I mean that takes up. That means it's faster to draw as well. It's faster to draw like one big close-up of a face than it is to like draw all these figures, of course. The fact that America's biggest states aren't in a constant state of riot is weird. as much complaining as Americans do, they're not that bad off. Americans are constantly bitching and whining about how horrible everything is, but at the end of the day, it's really not that bad. My guy is dying with a hard-on. That's what happens when all your blood flows to your dick. And then you die. And it just stays there. It's not bad salmon avocado. Is that a parody of the Economist writers who are like, Zoomer millennials need to stop spending all their money on avocado toast so they can afford to buy a house? It's their own fault. Brain blood is overrated. True. Have you read Rosengarten Saga? No. Is that a manga? I haven't read manga properly in a while. I've started reading them again, but recently because I started drawing manga and I need to get back in the manga zone. But I used to basically read every good manga that was available on the market because I was in Japan, so I could go to the local book off used books chain and just stand around and read everything. But now I have to find shit online, and it's hard to find stuff in Japanese because the Japanese publishers actually crack down on piracy if it's in Japanese, but I don't want to read shit in English, so for obvious reasons. Male body has two amazing organs, a brain and a penis, both of which do not exist in females. Boom, am I right, fellow guys? Women are so stupid, haha. Unfortunately, male's body does not have enough blood to make both function at the same time. Not if you have a tiny micro penis like myself. 10,000 IQ. Hey Green Brox, thanks for the Prime sub. I appreciate the support. Hope you're having a nice day and you're not dying from heat stroke like I am right now. It's actually not that bad. It's just uncomfortable. It will get worse. We're still at 1 p.m., so... Overclock your heart to power both the cock and brain at the same time. Realistically, what is the best solution for thinking while you have a boner? I think the most realistic way is to just immediately ejaculate in your pants before they can even notice. Then you can go back to thinking. I too am a philosopher poet, so I'm constantly thinking deep thoughts while also coming. Exert pressure on your thigh to control your blood flow. I guess drinking energy drinks to cause heart palpitations. How many of you guys actually drink energy drinks? I can't drink caffeine anymore. It causes me to have vertigo. So I just, my head starts spinning. So I definitely cannot drink anything like Monster or shit like that. Have you ever tried using pop-up palettes in the shortcut settings? I have Shift X subtool, Alt X color mixing, and so forth. I don't really understand what you're saying, but I have a bunch of shortcuts already mapped to my my tablet, so it's not like I'm not using shortcuts. Are you talking about like Shift X? It just functions, right? I don't know. I have everything I need to draw manga already, already properly mapped out, so I don't really need to do anything else. I've never had any energy drink before, but it seems scary. You can actually overdose on caffeine very easily. Like, guys who lift at the gym do like, what is it called? Pre-prep or whatever. Before they actually start lifting, they drink a bunch of caffeine so they can go harder. And if you drink too much caffeine, if you're using like powdered caffeine and you drink pre-workout, yeah, that's the term. If you're using powdered caffeine, you can overdose on that shit pretty easily. You're actually fucking around with pretty dangerous stuff. Your heart can just get messed up. I saw multiple people die from drinking that crazy lemonade shit. The excuse is always they had pre-existing conditions, but if someone that has a condition dies from it, that means a normal person is probably silently suffering at the very least after drinking it. Yeah, I mean, the thing was that those people didn't know that. You're talking about, for those of you who are not in the United States, we have a bread chain called Panera Bread, and they were selling this thing called caffeinated lemonade. I don't know what it was called. I can't remember what the term they used, but it was lemonade with like 6 cups of coffee worth of caffeine in it, and people weren't really thinking that their lemonade would be full of caffeine because you don't really expect lemonade to be full of caffeine. So a bunch of people who had heart conditions drank it by mistake and just like straight up died. And what was particularly funny was Panera was like, nah bro, it's not our fault. They tried the whole like thing of these losers are ruining everybody's fun for like a few weeks before they finally gave up. And it's just like, dude, nobody expects your lemonade to have a shit ton of caffeine in it. There's caffeine in damn near anything that isn't water, so drinking energy drinks on top of that. There isn't caffeine in damn near everything that isn't water. It's specific things. There's no caffeine in my rice that I eat. We're just talking about whatever shit that we put in our body in terms of like all the drinks that we drink, like Coke and stuff. US known for their self-control, definitely won't drink more than one. Exactly. I'm gonna go to my 7-Eleven and use my super giga double gulp 6-gallon jug and fill that up with Slurpee and just chug that shit down, because why not? Do the Euros in chat even know what that stuff looks like? I assume you guys have 7-Elevens, right? I've heard of it, never actually tasted it. It's just a giant cup. I've actually drawn it inside my comics before because it's fucking hilarious. Here's a good photo of it. Typical American drink size right here, boys. So what would happen is, I think the way the system worked is you buy one of these gigantic reusable, you know, gas tanks, basically. And then you're allowed to just fucking fill it up for like 5 cents or shit. And you get your approximately 800 grams of sugar for the day. This was a real thing. I don't think they do it anymore. I think they've discontinued the big gulp system, but we had a brief period in our history where we're just like, yeah, just give me as much sugar as possible. But why? Because we're trying to die. Who wants to live to an old age when you could, destroy your kidneys by drinking 10,000 gallons of sugar water? The hell, that's huge. God bless America, that's right. Euros will never understand the freedom that we can experience in this country. Our cars are bigger, our guns are bigger, and our soda bottles are bigger. I don't think his liver has to metabolize all the sugar. If you guys had to bet on Joe Biden ultimately making it to the general election or being forced to drop out, what do you think would be more realistic? Because I can't really decide on which is more realistic at this point. Like, I thought initially that Democrats were such pussies that they just sort of whine in the beginning, but eventually they'd all fall back in line and no one would be able to challenge Joe Biden. But I think Joe Biden's obvious deterioration of being too old is too painfully obvious even for the Democrats. So they're actually going to stick with it and going to try and get him to drop out. But he's also like too fucking old to understand that he's too old to do the job, so it's kind of like 50-50 right now in my mind. Titanic is staying on course. I mean, it feels like it right now. I think Obama is really going to have to like come up to Joe Biden and be like, bro, if you don't drop out, I'm going to have to start speaking publicly about this shit. Because like the only reason that all the black people vote for Joe Biden is because he's Obama's vice president, right? So he can't really survive a scenario in which Obama bails on him. Nancy Pelosi is already sort of making moves that suggest that she's trying to get him out, so I don't know. I saw his NATO press conference. Damn, it was a major letdown. I can't tell if you mean as if it's a major letdown because it was painfully obvious that he was too old, or if it was a letdown because you were expecting even more of a disaster and he didn't give you the full disaster experience. Both are possible. If you were really hoping for like a true shit show, it wasn't that awful, but he still made several horrible gaffes, so. Pelosi is fucking ancient too? Yeah, but Pelosi quit. She retired, that's the point. If Biden had also retired instead of setting up for a job in which he's going to have to work for another 4 more years and also have the nuclear launch codes, then we wouldn't be complaining. He didn't shit himself, Pepe Hands. Yeah, I can't believe he didn't shit himself. I lost my life savings when I betted on the political betting markets. Isn't it a bit concerning that one of the most influential countries in the world is run by a clueless lost person? Yes, and the other candidate is also a clueless lost person who is also incredibly old and has no idea what the fuck he's doing. However, it is an accurate representation of the state the country is in, which is to say that the country is run by a bunch of fucking boomers who absolutely refuse to give up their power under any circumstance. And the rest of the slightly younger people of the country are perfectly capable of taking over for boomers, but because boomers are infinitely arrogant, they need to be just dragged off stage. People just have to slap them and grab them and just pull them off stage because they're never going to fucking retire out of their own choice. Is Bernie Sanders more or less coherent? Probably, but he's even older, I think. I can't remember. Maybe he was around the same age as Biden. Nobody wants Bernie Sanders to run either. We have all these young politicians that people actually like. I don't know about the Republican Party, but the Democratic Party definitely does. We need a Gen X president? Possibly. There's a chance that they might be skipped over and go straight to upper millennials if we keep on going at this rate. We only got Trump because of Hillary. I'm pretty sure he ran because of her. She fucked over Bernie. We only got Trump because of Obama, basically. You get the president that is opposite of the previous president, is how it usually works. Obama basically mind-fucked the Republican Party so hard that they couldn't keep up the facade of, like, we care about cutting corporate taxes and shit, because nobody really cared about it. And everyone was like, yeah, actually, I think we're just going to be racist. Isn't the age requirement for being a president being 30 years old? I believe it was 40, not 30. I think 30 is too young, but maybe it was 30. Either way, no 30-year-old or a 40-year-old is getting elected, so I think it's pretty likely that we'll get a Gen X president. $35. Wasn't Mr. Beast saying some shit? Like, if they lower the age, he'll run? Mr. Beast's fan base is 12-year-olds. So he won't even be able to win a single primary. Even when the boomers start dying off, there's still going to be way more older people than younger people who vote. 99% of Mr. Beast's voting, or Mr. Beast's fan base, is incapable of voting at their current age, so young people don't vote. This is a huge problem, unfortunately. Old farts who have nothing better to do and sit around all day watching Fox News are the ones who vote. This has always been the truth. I mean, think about it this way. You get to start voting when you're 20, and I don't know how you want to classify the young age group and the old age group, but let's say being young ends at like 45. So that gives you a span of 25 years of being a young voter. Well, think how long people live. Think a life period right now in which you're an old motherfucker versus when you're young. You have like 20 years of being young, and then you go all the way from like 45 to 85. So then you have like 40 years of being old. So it's no real surprise that the old people get to dictate how everything goes in this country. You combine that with the fact that young people are busy getting drunk and using meth and stuff, so they don't have time to go and vote. I try to vote in my country, but it leads to nothing. There's almost twice as many seniors compared to the current generations. The truth is it leads to nothing in almost all democratic countries. Especially in the current state of like the older generation being huge. If old people want young people to vote, the old people have to make a world in which the young person's vote feels like it makes a difference. The funny thing about the current situation with Biden is, according to polling, pretty much every age demographic thinks he's too old, including other old people. Even the other old people who love being like, nah, I still got it, I have a golf game, are like, yeah, Biden's too old at this point. Nobody can keep it up anymore. Everybody is just like, yeah, he's too old. So the Biden campaign is basically in denial. You don't get it, I'm only 40. 40 is still young. It's pretty funny how my mother will refer to people as young, and the age of being young keeps on going up and up as she gets old, because in her mind she's still not old, even though she's like in her 70s. So she'll be like, oh, that person's young, they're like 58. And I'm like, no, they're not, Mom. 58 is not young. Stop pretending like this 50-year-old or 60-year-old counts as young so you don't feel as old. That's fucking stupid. Young people are between the ages of 0 and like 28. Everything else is old motherfuckers. Some of the media keeps saying he's as fit as ever, LMAO. I mean, the Biden team is apparently just like straight up blackmailing the media. Like if they're like, if you ever want to get another interview with Biden, you sure as fuck better not mess with our campaign. I just got past the expiration date then. Don't worry, you're just as hot as you used to be. If you were a female, you'd be only 3 days past Christmas. The Christmas cake hasn't gone rotten yet. Whoa, hags. I've been 32 years old for less than a month, been feeling old since I was 20. As someone who's actually old, like, in terms of age is not just a number shit, I can testify that 35 is the cutoff date. 32, you're still fine. At 35, you start to notice, like, clear declines in your mental and physical abilities. So you got 3 more years. Is Christmas cake even still used in Japan? It's used a little. It was always just an inside joke. If you want to call a woman a hag, you should just call her Baba. Oi Baba, fuzaken na. Whoa, loli Baba, whoa. I fucking love 3,000-year-old Loli Baba succubus. So hot. The face with no Christmas cake to hag max with. If you actually wanted to hag max, it's probably not that hard. But when people say hag maxing, they're talking about hag maxing with anime girls, usually on Twitter. The anime hag is just the same woman as the 20-year-old version of her, except she has one line under her eyes that's barely noticeable, and she has bigger boobs, and that's it. So you can understand why they're like, whoa, hags, whoa, delicious. I'm 24, just started working on my profession. Any tips? Don't get in a fight with your manager until you want to get fired. Having a job is mostly about maintaining a comfortable distance with your coworkers in a way that doesn't piss them off. Your actual job content is not that important compared to maintaining social situations, unfortunately. I couldn't imagine dating someone as old as my aunt, but what if your aunt is young and hot? Don't lose your job, the market is horrible, you'll never work again and become jobless like me. Is the market horrible? I thought the market was good. I guess it depends what you're trying to get a job in. I think the service industry is still bussin' for real. But nobody wants to work in the service industry for good reasons, so... Manhwa plot? Yes. I can't believe my aunt and my stepmother are fighting over my penis in the hospital after I broke both arms. Oh no. Now they're both trying to jack me off. Please, someone help. Nurse-san. Oh no, now the nurse hag is onto me. What can I do to stop this horrible situation? Market is good, but entry-level jobs are dog shit to make a living in major cities. Yeah, entry-level job experience in America is just kind of like mandatory. So you have to do it for like a year or so, unfortunately. Because that's what they look at for your resume. don't quit your entry-level job. Stay in it and for like a year and a half so the next corporation can see that you can hold a job and then be like, I want more money, and then try and find a different, but like same job, but like higher paying company, I guess. Would be my advice. Also stay in school. Don't drop out, even if you fucking hate college. That was me. I was like, Mom, I don't want to go to this place anymore. It sucks. But she's like, you have to stay there. We're paying too much. Get your degree. Then you can leave. People with professional experience are being paid entry-level wages. The middle class is growing smaller. No doubt. It is what it is, unfortunately. Corporations can get away with it. It's important to remember this words of a very wise basketball player. You don't get paid what you deserve. You only get paid what you have the leverage to negotiate. So there's no point in being like, the job market sucks, the economy sucks. You just have to try and find a different job that pays better and hope you can keep it or whatever. If corporations were actually allowed to pay what they think you deserve to get paid, you'd be a slave and get paid $0 because corporations are built to fuck their employees as hard as humanly possible and maximize shareholder profit. Therefore, the only leverage you have is just quitting and finding a different job. That's all you can really do. Stay in school, don't have any premarital sex. I dropped out and have to get back in. Fuck, my life was delayed for almost 10 years. Doesn't matter if we just die anyway. That gives me comfort. Yes. No matter how much progress you make, we're all just gonna fucking die and then the earth is gonna get swallowed by the sun. In fact, we might not have to worry for the sun to swallow the earth in like a million years or whatever. Some gigantic eldritch horror might just show up tomorrow and just wipe us all out with us even knowing what's happening. Deep space is terrifying, guys. If a businessman could, he'd turn you and your family into slaves. Yeah, good thing I'm just an unpaid intern, not a slave. Heh. Just because I'm not paid doesn't mean I'm not doing it because I choose to do it. You can't stop me but from enjoying my unpaid internship. I might be a slave in terms of my actual economic status, but I'm not a slave at heart. They can't take that away from me. Death is indeed the ultimate equalizer, haha. I'm a big fan of Gunmu or Battle Angel Alita, and in the second half of the series where they go to space, they depict a lot of how fucked up society is once they found the technology to make people immortal. Because everybody lives forever, the very concept of babies is dangerous to them, so they hunt down and kill babies and shit and eat them and stuff. Which makes total sense, right? Because if you're old and you live forever, you don't want younger people trying to come up and like take your shit. You just want to keep stuff stagnant forever. I believe that humanity will keep on evolving as long as we keep on dying. But as soon as we find a way to overcome our lifespans and the older generation gets to sit around and exist forever, then we're truly fucked. Imagine if we were in the same situation as we are now, but instead of waiting for the boomers to die, we know that the boomers are going to be around forever and just control shit forever. I'm not going to die. I will become rich and pay to have the life force of children from third world nations put into me. Stem cell treatments, let's go. I mean, you know that's what Elon is doing right now. Elon, at this very moment, is injecting stem cells that he harvested from poor African children into his spinal column. Alright guys, I said I was going to keep on, I was going to try and do a long stream, or I said I was going to do a short stream, and it's been a short stream. I can't even speak properly, it's too fucking hot in my room. This is the sort of the peak of the temperature, so I'll have longer streams the day after tomorrow. But for today, I'm bailing from this room. It's too fucking hot. Yeah, it's actually extremely hot in my room. Fuck this. I can't even think straight. Alright, see you around, guys. Good night.